Hey everyone, my name is Victor Dwyer, and today this is the Marketing Perspective podcast. And today we have Amy Weiss with us today. I met her at the Amazon Seller Meetup. It was a great conference that I went to. I actually got to speak a little bit, did a little pitch thing at the conference as well. But it's great to have her on. She's going to give us a quick intro about who she is, what she does, and then we'll kind of go into a very conversational format and kind of go from there. So, yeah, Amy, tell us about yourself.
Well, Victor, thank you for having me on. Thank you for participating in our marketer competition at Meetup. That was awesome, and you did such a great job. I loved your tips. It was about creating videos. Well, a little bit about me. I started selling on Amazon in 2007. So I'm like an OG in this space, but it was just a hobby back then. I was just flipping textbooks. It was nothing too major. And then in 2017, I decided that I wanted to invent a product. I was trying to solve a problem for myself. So I went on this whole journey, and I knew I could launch that product on Amazon, and I was sharing everything that I was learning. I didn't expect this to happen, but I developed a little bit of a following. And before I knew it, I was helping so many business owners launch their products, grow their businesses. And today I have a full service consulting firm, and we have a copywriting service where we write really great product listings for folks. And we also do product photography. We do graphic design, A+ content, and of course, consulting. And we also have courses. Our main course is called Concept to Launch, and it's 60-hour graduate level course that teaches you everything you need to know, from coming up with ideas all the way through to launching them on Amazon, your own website, and beyond into brick and mortar retail channels, which is also one of my specialties. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. I'm so happy to be here, and just love talking about this stuff. Never get tired of it.
I love the energy. I love the energy. And like when there's a lot of stuff going on in Amazon right now, like with all the different aspects, different news outlets and everything else. Amazon's upping their fees. They're upping their basically all their like FBA fees and everything else like that right now. And what are your kind of thoughts on that? Because like as we kind of saw, Amazon's getting less and less profitable from their like quarter earnings. So like, what do you think about them raising the fees? Do you think that they're going to continue to do this? Do you think this is like a one and done type of thing? Like, what are your thoughts on Amazon's choice on this?
Well, it's it's tough, right?
Yeah.
Because part of me wants to say, look, Amazon knows that they have you cornered. They know that they have a monopoly. They know that 80% of your sales are coming from their channel, and that you're just going to keep on pouring money into that channel. They have the PPC clicks to prove it. Advertising costs have gone way up. The average cost per click now is over $2. It's just insane. And then compare that with shipping costs, and then Amazon increases their fees. But at the same time, so I've got this side of me that's like, okay, they have us cornered. They know that all of our sales are coming from there, most of our sales. And that's one side of it. But also from the business owner side of me, I've had to increase my prices, right? Like shipping has gone way up. Raw material costs have gone way up. Tariffs, everything else. So it's kind of, in not to mention ground freight. Holy cannoli. Geez. Of course, we're all dealing with this, a 20 to 30 grand for a container from China. But now, have you looked at UPS rates recently?
No.
It's insane, the cost to ship to Amazon from your warehouse or a 3P shipment, any ground freight right now, the prices have doubled, sometimes tripled. So how do you not raise your prices?
True.
And, we kind of have to let Amazon do that too. So yeah, it's kind of twofold.
Yeah, like it seems like everything's going up. Like with the cost of Amazon advertising, the cost of shipping, the cost to get it inside the United States. Like it really comes down to like we all have to kind of raise our prices, but it gets kind of difficult because as we know, as we raise prices on Amazon, and if you're in a very price competitive space, it can be very difficult because you might raise
Yes.
your price $5 and you might see a huge ranking drop just because that less conversion rate of people coming into your listing and purchasing. So it becomes very difficult at that point to really get a lot of traffic coming in through there. So is there anything you would recommend to people when they do raise their prices? Is it like raise it gradually, or is it okay to raise it like all at once? What are your thoughts on pricing strategies within Amazon?
Well, I think this really comes down to your product choices,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
If you're in a very competitive market space, I try very hard not to compete with factories. I
Yeah.
want the products that I source to be mine. I want to own the differentiation, which is true private label, right? If you're just slapping your label on it, you're white labeling. And that factory can sell right next to you and they can cut the cost. They don't care. Like I've worked with some of the factories that are selling on Amazon. What they do is they just hire these brand management agencies to kind of like run everything and they just pay them a commission on sales, and so they don't really have a concept. They've never sold anything but wholesale prices, so they don't understand how to price for the market. So that's rule number one: don't compete with factories. If you're going to sell a commodity product on Amazon, you better be a factory. Either be a factory because you're not
Yeah.
going to beat the factory, right?
Yeah.
So that's really number one. If you can't raise your prices, that means you don't control the price. You
True.
know, there's always market prices. So, it's not that, if I differentiate a product that I can sell it for $30 more than the average thingamabob that's near it that isn't differentiated on the market, right? I still have to
Mhm.
stay in the market, but I can control the price a little bit more. Let's say, one example that I use in some of the presentations that I've done on this is a toiletry bag,
Mhm.
right? If I have the toiletry bag that hangs up on the door that has the unique pockets and zippers and stuff, I'm going to do a little better raising my price to $30 than the pouch toiletry bag that looks like all the other ones. And the best seller is $12.97.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to do well going above that, right?
Mhm.
And neither is the one at $12.97. So,
Mhm.
that's what I would say there. I know it's difficult if you are in that situation, which I know so many people are because I do listing reviews all the time and I'm like, "Oh, how did you find this product? Who brought you to this point? Like what YouTube video did you watch because this is a terrible product?" But
Yeah.
people get stuck. They're upside down in their products already. So if you do have to raise the price, I would really focus on upping your branding and your marketing, right? Like, how
Mhm.
can you make that thing look like put lipstick on that pig? Okay, make
Yeah.
it look pretty, and you're gonna sell more, right? Do retail ready packaging. Sometimes just like a really nice packaging can allow you to increase the price. And then explore other channels.
Mhm.
So, other sales channels. That's a really great way for you to increase prices across the board, because customers are smart and they comparison shop. So, let's say you're selling a vase,
Mhm.
right? Home goods on Amazon are actually very low priced, and people, Americans especially, don't really go to Amazon first for home goods. Where do we go, Victor?
For home goods, what?
Yeah. Like, where
Yeah,
do I
we
go to
we
like
go to
buy
the
a
store.
vase for my house?
Yeah. What?
Where do I go to like buy a vase or decor for my home?
You just go to like Nebraska Furniture Mart. You go to something like
Yes,
around your
you go
local
in
store.
person because you want to
Yeah.
see it, right?
Yeah.
That's a big one. Yes. But online, do I go to Amazon first?
Yeah. I mean, no, not necessarily. I guess I would go on Google first, right?
Google, very strong, right? But also Wayfair and Overstock are some of the top websites for buying home goods.
By the way, I'm a guy. I don't furniture shop, so that's the reason why I don't know.
You're like,
So I honestly
you're
have no
putting me on
idea
the
what the
spot and I
answer
don't
is.
even do decor.
Yeah, like I have nothing. Like there's no furniture, so like that's why I have
Victor, we're
no
going
idea what the
shopping.
answer
After
is.
this, we're going shopping. Let's do it. Oh goodness, it's so funny. So I'm sorry, Victor, to put you on the spot, but the people that buy home goods, normally we go. You're right. In person is huge because we want to like look and feel and like bring it home right then and there, and kind of see things together. But also, if you go and you look at a gold vase on Amazon, for example, it's like $19. You go on Wayfair, 75, $77 for a
Wow.
same similar vase.
That's
So
crazy.
if you're selling in a certain category, you need to know your market. So that's my second piece of advice there. Know your market, know where they shop, and go enter those channels. Especially if you go look at those channels and there's a good spot for you, don't be afraid. Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And when it comes to choosing your manufacturer, so you have a decision to make. Like if you want to go to China, but there's a chance that they might replicate your product and sell it on Amazon and things like that. When it comes to choosing manufacturers and where to source them and things like that, how do you choose the right manufacturer that has a less chance of emulating your product, selling it, and everything else? What is
I
your decision making
I
decision
love this
there?
question
Yeah.
so much.
Uh-huh.
You ask the girl that takes people to China how they choose a manufacturer. That's a really good question.
Mhm.
And I'm about to start some trips elsewhere too, guys. We're gonna start sourcing from some other places too. So stay tuned for that. But but how do you choose your manufacturer? All right, the first rule and why so many people get duped or they end up paying too much is know your manufacturing process.
Mhm.
I'm looking at you guys out there in internet land, okay? I bet you have no idea how your product is made. Do you know if your product is made using an injection mold machine or a blow mold machine or cut and sew and do you know what those machines look like? So if I were to get on a video call with your manufacturer and they were to take me around the factory, would you be able to tell if they are who they say they are? You wouldn't.
No, I would have no idea.
90% of people cannot answer that question. And so in my course, I have this requirement to know your product. You have to know your manufacturing process. And so I make people go out on like how it's made is a really great one, right? Literally Google, like, how is it made? If you're selling toothbrushes, you should know how toothbrushes are made. It's really cool to watch them be made too. I'm a total factory nerd. Like, take me around a factory any day. I'm so excited about it. I have really good relationships with my factories in China, and I just light up every time they show up. I'm like, ooh, show me that. Ooh, send me videos. You know, I get all excited about it. But that's the first rule, because how can you talk to a manufacturer and vet that supplier is who they say they are, and that they're not going to sell against you, or that, you know, how can you do that if you have no idea how your product is made, what the raw materials cost, what the raw materials even are? If you're just sending a picture and like, can you make this? Number one, you're never going to be able to source from anywhere but China
Yeah,
because
yeah.
nobody else is going to do that in any other country. And number two, you're going to get taken. You're going to pay way too much for that product because nobody's going to take you seriously. And that supplier is going to go, ooh, this one's going to be a lot of work, and they're probably not going to make a second order. So raise the price.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's rule number one, know
Wow.
your
So
manufacturing.
when you what?
No, go ahead.
When you understand the process of the manufacturer, how does that help you understand how the pricing is or anything else? Like how does that help with deciding how, like, if, like, let's say if you see it done this way rather than this way, how does that your decision making process, how does that change based off seeing how it's made?
Well, it's not really about pricing per
Hmm.
se. Everything to me is negotiable.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people, they don't even negotiate. They have a, just kind of a chat relationship with their supplier on Alibaba. They have no idea who their supplier is. For me, when I reach out to suppliers, I set up meetings with them. I
Hmm.
want to know about them. I want to know what their primary export markets are. I want to know what they're doing, if they're selling in e-commerce. I want to know if they're a good partner for me. So before I even give them let's say that I'm going to add lights to this coffee mug, right?
Okay.
It's our seller meetup coffee mug.
Hey, that's funny. I love that.
um, let's say that I want to add lights to this thing, right?
Hmm.
Well, and this is unique. It's a unique, let's say that somebody's demand. I study the market and people are DIYing lights on their coffee mugs. And so I'm like, man, I'm going to bring that to market. Okay.
Hmm.
I'm not going to go send a picture of my prototype of a coffee mug with lights to a supplier and be like, can you make this? That's not smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
My first step is I'm going to see what's the market price in general. So I want to come to market with a fancy coffee mug. So what's the market on fancy coffee mugs? There's a couple of them out there, right? Like self-heating mugs, stuff like that, right? What's the market price on that? What do I think I can sell it for and be competitive? Because I want to make it easy for customers to choose mine. So what a lot of people do is they source it first. They go, okay, how much is this coffee mug with lights going to cost me? And the supplier goes $60, and they're like, oh, okay, I hope I can sell it for like 120. All right, great. And then you get
Yeah.
stuck and you get upside down. Instead, you go, all right, the market price for a fancy coffee mug with electronics in it is about $45. So I'm going to divide that by 7, and I'm going to start. Well, actually, I'm going to divide it by 10. I want my landed price to be 7x at scale. So when I'm ordering containers full of that product, but I'll start my negotiation divided by 10 to leave me room to negotiate. So if what did we say? $35. Okay, well then I want to make sure that my target price is $3.50. So I'm going to start not by sending this picture to the supplier, but I'm going to start looking for suppliers that make similar products that have the capability to do that. And then I'm going to reach out to them and get more information on their company, all that, have them send me some catalogs. And I'm going to choose a product that I want to talk to them about from their catalog. And I'm going to look at the market price for that product. They own it already. They mass manufacture it. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to meet my target price at scale. And I'm going to set up an interview with them, and I'm going to talk to them about that product. And I'm going to ask them all kinds of questions like, hey, show me around. And first, the thing is, I do negotiation calls a lot of times with my clients and their factories so that they can learn how to communicate and talk. And their biggest piece of feedback to me is, Amy, you have so much fun on these calls. Like, you don't get down to business. And I'm like, well, that's because if you go visit a factory in China, you won't even see the factory till like after lunch, after you've eaten at this amazing VIP dinner. And, that's not
Yeah.
how they do business. They do business getting to know you. They build guangqi, you don't. So when I get on the phone with them, I'm like, or get on WeChat with them or a video chat, I'm like, hey, how are you? How long have you been in this business? How's your family? Do your kids work in the business? How long have you been doing this for? Tell me more. And you would be so surprised. I was at Canton Fair and I was looking to source a specialty poker chip set. And I went into this booth at Canton Fair and started with all these poker chips and everything, and started talking to this lady. And I said, oh, I always ask where the boss is, because in China, kings negotiate with kings. And so I asked, where's the boss? Where's the Laibao, right? And I'm talking to this woman who owns this factory. And I'm just like, you're cool. Like, how long have you been doing this? And she said, Yeah, we've done poker chips for World Series of Poker. We've been doing this for like 25 years. And she's showing me like all these cool products that they've done. And we're just going down this journey together. And I was so impressed. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So I told her, I said, I really want to solve this problem. And I didn't give her my exact design, but I was talking about my differentiation, what I wanted to do. And I said, I want to do a case with pre-counted chips. Do you have anything like that? And we were just walking through and she's showing me different things. So she gave me some quotes on just like the chips, like the different weights of chips and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody walks into her booth and they ask her the price. They just walk in like they're shopping and they're like, excuse me, how much is this?
Yeah.
You're not shopping. You're finding a manufacturing partner, right? So, and she gives them a price that's like 10 times what she gave me.
Wow. That's crazy.
And that's the difference. The relationship makes the difference. So back to our example, you're going to sit down with the supplier. You're going to know your manufacturing process. You're going to pick a product from their catalog that's similar to what you want to do, but not exactly what you want to do, because you're going to send them that differentiation later if they are a good partner, right? And during that conversation, you're trying to find out more about them. You're trying to build a relationship. You're trying to see if they're going to be a good partner for you. This is not a like demand and respond kind of relationship. And so, you ask them all about the manufacturing process. You say, okay, what kind of machines do you use for this? What colors can I make this in? How can I change this? Would I need new molds if I change the shape of this? What are the different, what's your R&D department look like? What's your Q&A process? Your not Q&A, QA,
Yeah.
your quality assurance process, and just talk through everything with them. And it's going to be really clear. Number one, if they're a third party, if they're a dude in their apartment that's sourcing from multiple factories and upcharging you, which that happens, they're not even going to book a call with you.
Yeah.
Because they're not legit. So red flag, right? And
True.
number two, if they're a trading company and you want to work with a factory because you are differentiating, nothing wrong with the trading company if you're just sourcing the regular coffee mug, right? That's fine. They can probably give you good prices. They have lots of different things that they can go off of. Fine. But if you're differentiating and you need to be on a contract, which is how you protect your idea, by the way, you need to make sure that you are working with an actual factory. Because if they're just outsourcing to another factory, what's to prevent that factory from selling to a trading company who then sells against you on Amazon? Nothing, right?
Yeah.
So you need to look at, okay, is this the right partner for me? And can I enter into a contract with them? So we get on the call, we talk about this process and we say, all right, well, what do we have for pricing? What are we doing for pricing? And I always do my pricing at container loads. I want to know like what's a container per unit, what's a container load of these going to cost me, right? And then we'll talk about my target price. So most of the time, they'll give me a price that's even after I've had this kind of conversation, they know I'm serious and they know I know what the heck I'm doing, right? Because I'm speaking their language and we've built a relationship and the boss is on the call and I'm not just talking to some salesperson who has no authority over pricing. And they give me an incredible price. And so if the price that they give me is already under my target, I'm like, that's very fair. Okay, I'm not going to push it further. I want them to make money. I want me to make money. I want our customers to be happy. Great, right? I've had plenty of those situations. I've also had situations where they've given me a price way higher than my target.
Wow.
And I've come back to them and say, okay, but that's not going to work for me because I got to make money. You got to make money. Customers got to be happy. This, needs to be a partnership here. And my target price on this item is $3.50. So what can we do to work together to get there? Right? Can we talk through, let's break down the costs here. Like, what's so expensive here? Like, where can we make up this $2? It's not always necessarily material. Sometimes I've been on negotiation calls where it's like, well, it's this printing process that we use. It's more expensive. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, do we have any alternative processes that we can use? And they bring out another material and they show me this. And it's like, oh, well, I actually like that better. What's that going to cost me? Okay, let's work together. Let's get there, right? So that's what pricing is all about. That's how you bring your costs down. You build relationships. You know what your costs are. Then, all right, now I'm ready. I found my supplier. They're awesome. They gave me a really good price for a similar coffee mug that we talked about. And I tell them, okay, awesome. I'm so excited to work with you. I'm going to send you, my design is a little bit different. So I'm going to need you to sign an N agreement that will say that you're not able to disclose this design to anyone else or sell it to anyone else. Are you willing to do that? And if they say yes, then I have my attorney in China draw up that contract and my NNN agreement and deliver it to them. Now, when they have an attorney in China deliver a contract to them, it's a little different than if you ask them to sign an NDA in English.
Wow. Okay.
So that's what I do. I have my attorney deliver an NNN to them and a general conditions agreement. And then once they sign that, I have my attorney verify that they're actually signing it legally in China. By the way, to this day, I've never had a factory sign it correctly. My attorney has had to go back to every single factory and have them sign it correctly.
Wow.
So that it was legally viable. Exactly. So then, and in that conditions agreement, I also outline timelines. I outline penalties. So if you don't deliver to me on time and you fail inspections, you're paying for the next one, and there's severe financial penalties. So guess what? I don't wait extra time for my production to get done because they put you at the top of the list when they actually have an agreement with you that says they need to pay you money if they don't deliver on time. So these are the things that change the game. These are the things that make it different for you, your experience different. But most courses don't teach you that. They just teach you like, go on Alibaba and select this filter and message this supplier and get a sample. And then ask them how much it's going to cost and move forward.
Yeah.
And watch them sell against you. And I mean, you don't even know who they are, right?
True.
So yeah, I have another way that you can vet them is through a factory audit. So companies like V-Trust will do a factory audit for you. It's the same price as an inspection. It'll cost you like $300, but they will tell you if that factory is who they say they are. And we had a lady in our group. She did a factory audit. Now she had gotten great samples. This factory was awesome. Like they were doing many different samples for her, great communication, everything. And so she was ready to like do the contract, place the order. And she's like, you know what, Amy, I'm just going to do a factory audit. I just want to make sure. So she sends in the factory audit, and Victor, the person that she had been talking to this entire time that had been sending her samples, they did not work there.
Wow. Really? That's crazy. They didn't even work there.
Nope.
Wow.
They were a complete third party. So the factory audit tells you what staff is, like what their business registration, all of that kind of stuff is. And they were like, I'm sorry, but we can't find this person anywhere on the books of this organization. So we were like, red flag, find a new supplier. Whoa, so
Yeah.
that's the thing. Yeah.
That's different. And when it comes down to, so you talked about where you're able to see the market price within a category. What if you have an innovative product, something that's very new in the space that you really can't gauge what the audience would be or what the target market or the target price would be just because it is a very innovative product, and it's not something that you can easily price out to figure out your target price for Amazon, your target price for manufacturing it. There's nothing too like similar. Like if it's a very, very innovative product, what do you really do with those specific situations? How do you gauge the what manufacturer to find with it, and how do you gauge what to set your price to?
You have the best questions. I love these questions. Yes. Okay, so that takes us to what's called validation. And validation is when you have, let's say you have a new unique product like mine. I invented a litter box cleaner.
Okay.
What's that, you ask? Well, there isn't one except mine. There's no, so people like at first, when I first launched it, they were like, so how does the cat use it? It's like, the cat doesn't use it. You use it to clean the litter box. Because there was nothing there, right? So the first thing I did, even though a lot of inventors, I'm on my state's inventors board, and a lot of inventors will tell you like, oh, I have no competition. Well, yes, you do.
Yeah.
There's always an alternative way to do whatever that innovative thing is. If you invent the latest coffee mug with lights,
Yeah.
so that you can see when you're going to your car at night or whatever, in the morning, early morning, right? Coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you invent that, you're still competing with the regular coffee mug and the light on somebody's phone.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's you still have to look at similar products, reasonable alternatives on the market, right? But that being said, okay, so that's step one, is to look, okay, so what I did is I looked at, okay, well, what about the more expensive litter boxes that do something, right? Like, what do those cost? And do they have electronic components? Because mine does not have electronic components. It's like very easy. You just dump a litter box into it. And it's like super easy to clean, right? But it's not electronic. It's a fairly simple device. So I looked at other litter boxes that were fairly simple devices, but also had a component to them, like a significant differentiated benefit. And those were around a $40 to $50 price point.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, that's fair, right? That seems right. And then later on, after I learned even more about validating products, after working with hundreds of brands and helping them launch, I learned that another great way to do that is through surveys. So you already have your product probably patented or something like that, right? If it's very unique, you're going to patent it from the start, right? From your prototyping phase, you're going to patent it. And by the way, I can teach you how to get a patent for much cheaper than, so if you have a follow-up question about that, we can do that. But anyways, you're patented already, so it's okay. Well, you use websites like PickFu, like Google surveys, like Amazon Mechanical Turk. And in an hour, you can literally mock up of your product. And if you've already gotten like 3D printed, you probably have a decent mock-up, right? Mock-up of your product, the competition, and say, okay, which one do you choose and why? And you can target a specific audience. So if I'm selling it to people who have cats, well, then I can target that audience. I can ask them, how much would you pay for this? I can ask them, what are your concerns? I can get all of that feedback. On PickFu, you can literally get that feedback in an hour. I mean, in an hour, you can get 60 to 100 responses. So that really, really helps. You can do a focus group. Like I was going to create a slime container, like a slime storage thing for my kids, because my kids love slime. They used to. A couple of years ago, they were really into slime. And I was like, they were always stealing my kitchen containers.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would love to create something that's cool for them, where they could display their slime, like kind of like a rack where they could display their slime in like clear containers, and it looks really cool, and maybe put lights in it so that would make the slime glow. This is so cool, right? So I went to China. I got a bunch of different containers that were so cool and innovative and different, just to get feedback, right? And I had my friends, I had my kids' friends and their moms over at the house. We were doing like a school end of year school party, something like that. I invited the moms and the kids inside one at a time. And I said, hey, can I just get your feedback on something? They were all outside swimming in the pool and stuff. And I was like, okay, today I need your feedback, everybody, just one of you at a time. And people love to tell you what they think about things. People love to get their feedback. So I brought these people in, and the kids didn't really care about the container. They cared about the slime. They didn't care about what container. So that was like, okay, I guess I care about them not stealing my kitchen containers more than the kid cares about the container being cool, right? And then the moms, they were like, yeah, it's pretty neat for them to have like a specific container for their slime that they can store it in. And
Mhm.
I was like, okay, but how much would you pay for it? Most of them said $1.50.
Ooh, that's
And
not
it's
good.
because what is the cost of the alternative?
True, it is that. Yeah, it's very
So
cheap. Yeah.
even though the search volume was incredibly high for this,
Mhm.
and the that people were looking for like kind of slime organization kits, and there was nothing on Amazon. You could pull up the search page, there was nothing on Amazon, tons of search volume for it. I didn't launch the product because I couldn't develop something that met the need but matched what people were willing to pay for it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
had I moved forward, I might have had a product that wasn't selling very well.
True, and that's a great reason, like, to get feedback on your product before you launch, and that way you have more things and more feedback to actually when it comes to product development, or if it's worth launching the product at all. It's very important.
Yeah,
Most people
I
just have an
3D
idea.
printed. I 3D printed mine,
Mhm.
and I went to a local market and I set up a booth at a local market. It was like $10 or something to set up, and we just set up a little booth. And
Mhm.
I literally just, people that passed by, I was like, "Hi, do you have pets?" And they were like, "Of course, they want to talk about their pets, or what kind of pets do you have?" Right?
Mhm.
So they come by and I'm like, I don't have anything to sell you. I just want to show you something. And
Mhm.
I demoed the product. And some people were like, no, I wouldn't really use that. I use this and I'm happy with it. And other people were like, where can I buy this? How do I get this today? And I was like, ooh, that's good feedback. And guess what I did with those people? I had MailChimp all set up on my phone, sign up for the mailing list. And I was like, well, I'll give you a 20% off coupon at launch. And lots of people were like, oh, heck yeah. Can I sign up one for my sister too?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. So I had 61 pre orders when I launched, and I had an amazing email list as soon as I launched. And all I did was go set up a little booth at a local market for $10 and get some feedback.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's perfect. And I think that helps because a lot of business owners, they like attach themselves to their products and they say like, "Oh, this is exactly how it should be," and they don't want to change anything about it. But it's really important to get feedback before you launch so that way you're able to apply those changes and get that feedback and take in that feedback when it comes to actually designing your product because your consumer's the one that's actually going to use it and not you. So it's really important to actually take in that feedback and change it to whatever the consumer actually wants. It's really important to have that consumer need is really important, not only the business owner need, essentially. It's important.
Yeah. And you really rally people around you too. People are excited when you're doing something like that, and you rally people around you and it really helps with your launch.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it comes down to it, with everything that's going on within China and everything else, and with the manufacturing and everything else, what what are you doing to get around these shipping delays and everything else right now? Like with the rising cost of shipping delays and like everything else. What has been your strategy so far? Is it by using a 3PL? Like, what are some good ways to navigate these inventory problems that a lot of people are having right now?
Well, I wish I could tell you I had it all figured out. I
Mhm.
don't. I don't think anybody does in terms of. I mean, we all have good strategies, but it's really hard to get it all right all the time.
Yeah.
One thing that I do is I order more inventory at a time. So my products, I've been selling them for years. I'm on reorder status, so it's not like I have to worry about, oh, are those not going to sell, right? They're going to sell. So I usually get 6 months of inventory at a time. And then I have my own warehouse that I use, which allows me to seed feed Amazon a lot easier, right? So I keep that 6 months of inventory. And then I can use that for other channels because I do sell in brick and mortar retail as well, as a few other channels. I sell on Walmart.com and like Wayfair.com and a few other websites. So the thing is, like, just diversification. You never want to put all your eggs in one basket, right? You don't want, like,
Mhm.
just like during when COVID first kicked off and Amazon said, essential goods only. We're not going
Yeah.
to, not essential goods. We're not delivering them. And all of these people who did FBA only were like, what do I do? Like, my
Yeah.
inventory
Yeah.
is stuck. It's held hostage in Amazon. All I
Yeah.
did, I had extra inventory. I had stuff at FBA, but I had extra stuff in my warehouse. So I was like, turn on merchant fulfilled, done. Right. So
Yeah.
we tripled our sales during that time and overtook a lot of our competitors because they were stuck with FBA and we weren't. So
Mhm.
I realize not everyone can do that because not everybody lives in the US, right? And it's very hard to find a reliable 3PL right now. Not that there aren't reliable 3PLs, it's that there's such a high demand. And these businesses, when they grow, sometimes they break, right? They're like, yes, of course, come on, everyone. And then they're like, there's not enough hours in the day, right? So
Yeah.
we were started using Deliver for
Mhm.
Walmart, and they got overwhelmed, and like there was a bunch of delays, and luckily we could fulfill our own stuff. But yeah, I mean that's what I would recommend. I'm not really getting around increased shipping. I have used my suppliers. Suppliers already own space on certain containers that they bought a long time ago at a fixed price. So I used my suppliers' resources. Sometimes I'm like, hey, what can you do to help me out? Like, I
Mhm.
need this stuff, but my shipping prices are insane. And they're like, yeah, we can get it to you for this much. It's like, oh, well, that's what I paid before. Thanks. Um,
Yeah.
again, relationships, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, so I think just really diversification of your channels and as far as where you're keeping your inventory, and then relationships, and always shop around. I saw a lot of people, they just use one freight forwarder. Every time I get a shipment, I get like 4 quotes. I mean,
Wow.
because it's not that I don't trust the freight forwarders I have. It's like the rates change. So some of them will have access to lower rates at different times. So I have like 4 freight forwarders that I trust, and I always get quotes from all 4 of them. And then I just pick the one that is most makes most sense for me at the time.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, that's great. And when it comes to like figuring out demand in the space, like you're designing this new product, you have a good manufacturer, and what do you do to assess if I were to go into this space, how much money would I make? Or what would be the expected revenue gain for being on Amazon, for being on all these markets? How do you assess, like, let's say you're willing to invest $50,000 into this new product, but when you go to Amazon, how do you assess how much money you're going to be making back and to get your return on investment essentially? How do you go about that?
Well, that's a great question. I never look at just Amazon as a channel.
Mhm.
First of all, I look at the entire market. Everything that I do when it comes to looking for products, all of that is based on the market and not based on like, so I don't go to, I get stuck in analysis paralysis. If I just go to Amazon and I look at products all day, I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't see anything here, right? But
Yeah.
if I go and study a specific niche and I go hang out where they're hanging out and see what discussions they're having and what pain points they have, and discovering like what those buzzwords are, and then I go pull up that search term on Amazon, I always see a different page than everybody else sees because I know what people want
Yeah.
and what's showing up on that page. So I assess demand first by studying the market and seeing what people are saying. I look at Google keywords instead of just Amazon keywords, right? To actually
Mhm.
see. I use the Keywords Everywhere tool, which shows me trends in specific keywords. So that's how I do product research. So if you take my product research course, you'll be like, you didn't even go on, I mean, you went on Amazon, but where's helium-10? Where's jungle scout?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you can use it if you want to, but I don't use it for finding a product to sell per se. I do use it to check data, like who doesn't need search volume, right? On
Mhm.
Amazon, like you'd be dumb not to check that. But I don't use it to find products because I don't want to sell products that are already there. And everybody's using it to find products. So that's where I get 80% of the people that come to me and they're like, yeah, when I launched this, there was like no competition. And now there's 100 pages and I don't know what to do. I can't sell it. I'm in a price and review war. Yeah, that's what happens when everybody uses the same search filters and we all find the same amazing product and we all read the bad reviews and differentiate in the same exact way. Like, that's not the way to do it, in my opinion, right? But so first I go to the market and I see what the market wants and what they're doing and what they're DIYing and what they're buying on other channels, what's trending in industry magazines. I look at all of that kind of stuff. And then I look for that opportunity, right? And develop that product to that. In terms of understanding how much you could sell, what I do is a business plan. So when I get to the point where I'm like, yes, this is it, it's amazing, I'll do a target market analysis and I'll look at, like, for example, there are 56 million cat owners in the United States.
Okay.
If I could reach 1% of that market with my innovative product and my profit margin is X, what does that look like for my business? It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how I assess it, especially if you have like a new, unique product. It's just like if you were preparing a pitch for investors, you would have to know what's the market size, how much could I reasonably. You never want to expect to reach more than 1% of the overall market, right?
Yeah.
Because again, there's always alternatives. Not every cat uses a litter box, right?
True.
Some people
Yeah.
have outdoor cats, they have farm cats, right? So,
Yeah.
so I'm
True.
not selling to those people, but you can make some reasonable estimations. You also want to look at habits. So I learned when I was doing my target market analysis that most cat owners actually shop for accessories online versus in the store. So I learned, how much they're spending on litter, how much they're spending on accessories. I learned more about their pain points by going into discussion groups, everything like that. And then it helped that I was also my customer, right?
Yeah.
Because I knew what the problems were and the pain points. I knew that was actually what kept me going in launching my product initially. Was I could not imagine ever going back to the old way of cleaning a litter box. I was like, oh heck no, I got to make this work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just not, I cannot not bring this to market, and it's funny because a lot of my reviews now say things like that. People are like, oh my gosh, I needed this 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So I know people have kind of the same feeling, but that's how I look at it. If you are launching, you can definitely use Amazon's numbers as well to kind of give you an idea of a similar product, how much it's selling. But you don't just want to take the number one seller. Remember, this is a long game. You don't just want to take the number one seller and be like, oh yeah, I can sell that much. You don't know, you need to research. Are they selling in retail? How many channels are they selling on? What are they doing, right? How long have they been in the game? You want to take a product that's similar, that's kind of like you don't want to take, like, if you're going to build a new toy, you don't want to go up against Mattel, right?
True.
Like,
Yeah.
well, Mattel's selling 4 million a month. I think I can do that, right? I mean, you guys know that, but
Yeah.
you want to take another toy that is also kind of a newer private label and look at what they're doing in the market and how they've been able to grow and what channels they're selling on, and you want to kind of look at that and go, okay, I think I can match that. I know for the most part, people underestimate this. Everybody in our program, because we kind of focus in our program on differentiating and really making sure that you're meeting a need of the market that they're talking about, that they're looking for. And everybody who's launched under our program has completely sold out because we underestimated what they needed. It's like, well, that's great, but it sucks to sell out, right? So, then we're always discussing in our mastermind group. We're like, okay, what can we do to slow down sales? We know if we raise the prices, it's just going to raise sales. So should we turn off the PPC? So we have a good problem there, but at the same time, it's like, people do tend to underestimate how much they need.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. It really is. And with it, Curious on this. So what if you have a very different product that you have a normal base product and then you add on a lot of features to it, but it's way more expensive? So like let's say if you have a protein supplement, okay, for example, but this protein supplement has like vitamins, has all these other things inside of them, but it is significantly more expensive. So they get more of like the package deal, for instance. But if people were typing that in Amazon or something else, they would they wouldn't see they they see the price as like, oh wow, that's really expensive for protein, but it's a lot more than that. How do you navigate the products that have a lot more added benefits but are more expensive at the same time, and that way you can get the most sales possible without losing, because when you try to advertise those products, you're when they see your price, you're a lot more expensive, so a lot of people don't trust
Yeah,
you.
because
But how,
you're in
how
the list for protein supplement, right?
yeah.
And sometimes it's very difficult. Like I
Mhm.
often see people will differentiate their products in ways that don't matter to the customer, and then they'll
Yeah.
expect the customer to pay more. And it's like the other day I was working with a client who put a two unrelated products together that people don't use. Like it was a bathroom accessory with like an entryway accessory bundled together. And she was trying to charge more. And I was like, yeah, but the customer doesn't see the benefit there because they don't need this entryway accessory when they buy this bathroom accessory. Like we don't, so knowing your market is number one, right? But a protein supplement with vitamins, that sounds really cool, right? You have less to take. So it's all about marketing at that point. It's all about marketing, packaging, and how you present your product. It's not really a protein supplement anymore, is it?
True.
If you really have to say something like, um, a something like you could call it. Let's say it's like Protomex,
Yeah.
Vitamix, Protomix, right?
Yeah.
But then you've got your dash and you put your differentiation right there, like your daily vitamin boost and protein boost in one, and that better be on your packaging front and center. I always tell people that are selling online, like your biggest thing that you can do is design your packaging as if it had to be bought in the store, right? If I'm walking down the protein supplement aisle and I'm going to buy this protein supplement with vitamins in it, that package better stand out. It better like pop, right? It's
Mhm.
like an orange package, and it's got like a big vitamin pill on the front of it. It's like your daily dose. And like this guy, like, yeah, anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
But you need to communicate that, right? You got to
Yeah.
communicate it and just make it super obvious that that's what it is, so that when people are scrolling through, because protein supplement's still going to be your main keyword, right? So when
Mhm.
they're scrolling through, or you pay for that ad to be at the top of page one, it just pops. Maybe you use a vitamin capsule as your packaging instead of the protein bag, right? And people are
Yeah.
like, wait, what is that?
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, I don't have to take vitamins anymore. Sweet. I'm
Mhm.
buying this. I don't care about the price of protein, right? So
Yeah.
that's what it is. You really have to make it. And something that I did with my product, I struggled with this too because it was so unique. It just was, it didn't really communicate. It was expensive, right? People kind of compared it to a sifting litter box, and they're like, well, I can buy this for $19.99. This is too
Mhm.
expensive. um, so what we did is did an image, and it's on the side of the box too for retail. We did an image that shows that this actually pays for itself in 1 month, because you can use the same litter over and over again for 20 days. And most people dump their litter like every week because it stinks. Well, our product eliminates that odor and allows you to reuse that. So one of the benefit things that we did was that we made sure that we had that chart on there showing how much savings, and how you're going to buy this today, but it's going to pay for itself in 1 month.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is a really good way to like add on the benefit and to really see that you get the package deal with all of it. I think that's a great way to approach it. within all that. We're about to wrap up. We're about to run out of time. Is there anything else that you want to tell people, like how to find you, or any other information that you want to show to like help people find you in any way possible?
Well, I just want to thank you, Victor. Like, you have the best questions, and I had so much fun. Like, I love challenging stuff, challenging questions, and I had so much fun talking about this. And thank you so much. Um, if you guys want to reach me, I do have an offer for you. I will review your product listing absolutely free. So have you ever wanted somebody to go through your product listing and look at all your photos and insult you for the bad job that you're doing? I'm just kidding. No, I mean, but I will be very honest. But either way, if you would like me to look at your listing and confidentially, I'll send you an email with me on video reviewing your product. People are always like, "Oh, it's you. It's really you. You're like reviewing my product." Yes, I told you I'd review your product. I love doing it. It's like a hobby of mine. I love it. It's really fun. I love analyzing listings. I've written hundreds of page one listings on Amazon. So I want to look at your product. Send it to me. I will review it for free, and I'll send you an email, and you can see what you should do to improve. So if your PPC is too expensive, or you're wondering if you're ready to expand into retail, or you're wondering if you should run external traffic, or you just want to know if your listing sucks, you can send me. Just fill out a form on my website. So you're going to go to amazingathome.com/listing-review, or just go to amazingathome.com, and underneath the services menu, choose free listing review. And there's just a little form, and it'll come to my email, and I'll send you a quick little video of reviewing your listing. That's my way of saying thank you for listening to me ramble during this podcast, and just hopefully be able to help you out as well. And yeah, anytime you guys need anything, I have the Seller Roundtable podcast. You can check us out there. I gotta have Victor on. And and amazingathome.com, and then we also have a Facebook group, Amazing at Home, very active, and we don't let virtual assistants in there. It's sellers only.
That's great.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Victor, for having me.
Yeah, thank you for hopping on, and thank you for everyone for watching. We're gonna hop off now. Thank you for everything. Thanks, guys. Bye.